Welcome back to the Hood News Fantasy Football Podcast. This is episode 37, Week 8, Studs and Duds. It's your host, Keem. I got my boys with me, MFB.
Yes, sir.
And BBTB.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and jump into it. We're going to start with QBs. Jalen Hurts at the top, 35.14 fantasy points, had 3 rushing touchdowns. This is what you've been waiting for if you drafted Hurts, one of the top QBs in your leagues.
Yeah. Saquon Barkley owners are kind of crying.
I
don't blame them. Homie sharked 3 TDs in a single game. He also, Jalen Hurts has 5 rushing touchdowns over the last 2 games.
I would say he sharked one of them because 2 of them were touch pushes. Like he's gonna get those.
Yeah,
one of them, it was like 4 or 5 yards out. But yeah, he did.
Sure. But with the 5 rushing touchdowns over the last 2 games, that's more rushing touchdowns than the Vikings, the Chargers, the Cowboys, and the Browns have all season.
Wow.
Golly. Hey man,
if you're
a tush push.
If you're a Hurts owner, keep him. If someone somehow wants to give up Hurts, go get him. Because I went to go get Hurts and I got him. And my team's stacked now. I got him, brother.
You suck, bro.
And
we got him
Hurts
for peanuts in our league, bro.
And Hurts has probably one of the best rest of the season schedules. So,
low-key, the whole Eagles schedule is very fire.
Mm-hmm.
Get your Eagles players.
We mentioned that before. Their bye's already done. They get Jags next week, then Cowboys divisional game, then Commanders divisional game.
Field day.
So it's a nice stretch.
Yeah, they're doing really good. Ever since, they got back after the bye week, A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith both back. The team looks good. Bo Nix, 29.76 fantasy points. It just actually went dumb against the Carolina Panthers.
That boy looking nice, man.
Yeah.
Look, I get it. It was the Panthers. So obviously, you could start almost any QB against the Panthers at this point. After what I saw Marcus Mariota do to them the last week. But, Bo Nix is performing really well, bro. He's averaging 22 fantasy points per game since week 4.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Do you think
utilized him well?
I was going to say, do you think it's an effect of Sean Payton being the coach or just him as a rookie? Just performing well?
A mixture of both,
I personally think I was about to say, I personally think what's helping him out the most is his defense is so good that he gets the ball back so much more quicker than a lot of other teams. So, obviously, maybe one drive won't work. He'll get the ball back in a couple minutes. All right, maybe that drive would work. And so, pretty much that's how he's dominating the game right now in fantasy.
Yeah, he's been a solid streamable quarterback the last few weeks. So, yeah. I like Bo Nix. Who's he at next week? Jacksonville, you said?
No. Eagles have Jacksonville. They play the Ravens, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be, definitely a harder test, but Baltimore has been thrown on. So,
yep.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I'm not sure about the confidence with starting him, but he still might be okay.
Yeah.
He could probably be a streamable little 15-point kind of quarterback.
Well, it's only the matchups. Matchup this week. Kirk Cousins, 28.64 fantasy points. He did it again against Tampa Bay. Not 5 touchdowns, but
he got 4. He got 4.
Also not 500 yards, but yeah.
Exactly.
Told you could stream him. Pretty obvious play, but yeah, man, Kirk Cousins doing his thing.
Yeah, very solid. He was streamable this week. Next week gets Dallas, probably also streamable. So
definitely.
Next, we had Brock Purdy, 26 fantasy points against Dallas. So he did solid even with no Ayuk, and Debo left that game early with ribs or something, abdomen injury or something.
Yeah. But you got, honestly, a lot of people, they're not a fan of Brock Purdy for some reason, and I know a certain somebody that's not a fan of him, but Brock Purdy will lay his body out just to, to get those extra yards, just to be that dude for the Niners right now because he knows he needs to step up. I
think it's to prove that he's not a bad quarterback. He's trying to prove himself.
He's obviously not. The past 3 weeks, he's been solid. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
I feel like
this is another emotional take because he's really trying to trade him in another league. So.
I am trying to trade him. No one wants him, but Brock Purdy is solid.
No, he did solid this week. He did in the last 3 games. He had a 3-touchdown game against Seattle. Kansas City's a tough matchup, but he did decent. So he goes into the bye week, gets Tampa Bay when he comes back. So that's a good matchup for him.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew Stafford, 24.76 fantasy points on Thursday night against Minnesota. He had his 2 receivers back, Kupp and Puka.
Yep. So, man, I mean, it goes without saying, QBs definitely need their weapons, and the weapons need their QBs. It's the first time Stafford scored over 15 points this season. And it's something that, we kind of brought up like a couple weeks ago. And obviously the factor is that they missed Cooper Kupp and Puka. But their rushing TD to passing TD ratio was so like offset that eventually there had to be more passing TDs. And here it is, right?
It's got to balance out, right?
Yeah.
So, also, I wanted to maybe not get too deep into it, but the Vikings have now allowed a top 10 QB performance in 3 of the last 4 games. So we kind of thought like Vikings came out hot defensively, and now they're kind of just getting murked in the air by QBs. So you think they're still going on a downtrend? Do you think they'll come back up?
Yeah.
I feel like defensively, the Viking. I feel like if you play a quarterback against the Vikings, I feel like there should be a solid outcome with that. Depending on the team, obviously, but
I think depending on the quarterback, whoever the quarterback is, it's
if
he can get it done, he probably can. Or
But I don't know if you guys remember my crazy take before the season, but remember when I said when Matthew Stafford finally has his guys, Puka, Kupp, and Kyren, and I felt like the Rams were the dark horses in the NFL once everyone's finally healthy because those guys were hurt last year, and now he has all of his guys back. I feel like the Rams are still the dark horses if everyone stays healthy. So
if they can stay healthy, they get Seattle next week, Miami, and then New England. So not bad matchups, but with those weapons, you can get it done. Mm-hmm. Lamar Jackson, 24.16. Justin Herbert, 24.06. Jameis Winston, 23.56. I put Jameis Winston in there because he's just a character, man.
I mean, hey, man,
out last week.
You called it.
Unwavering faith is what he said, bro.
Cornball.
You
see when he shouted out Eminem, bro?
Cornball, bro.
He's different, bro.
Lamar
Jackson,
different.
bro. Lamar Jackson should have had more. There was I don't even know how long the pass was where it just hit Rashad Bateman in the face.
Yep, bounced off his head.
Bounced off his helmet.
Mm.
So he should have had more, maybe even finishing with another passing tud. But Lamar Jackson been balling out, right?
Yeah,
he been going crazy.
He gets Denver next week, so good luck.
That'll be a test for sure as far as defense. But his scrambling could give issues. Justin Herbert, another QB, first time he surpassed 15 points this season.
Yeah, I mean,
yep, that's it. There you go.
No, I mean, it was against the Saints. My Saints are not doing the best right now, man. So I don't know.
I mean, the Saints have been
bottom
tier defense the last couple of weeks, and they just have not been moving on offense.
Fun facts this time with Winston, bro. So he threw for 300 plus yards. Deshaun Watson hasn't gone over 200 yards all season.
That's crazy.
Not sure what they saw in him, but anyways. And last time he threw for 300 yards was January of the year 2021.
Golly,
that's crazy.
Deshaun Watson?
That's the last time Deshaun Watson has thrown 300 yards.
Bro, he just terrible. He just
robbed a franchise.
We know how you feel about him by now.
Yeah. If you haven't heard and listened to previous episodes, he sharked me one week, so never again. That's it for QBs. On to wide receivers. At the very top, CeeDee Lamb, who, even though Dak didn't do so well, came up with 33.1 fantasy points in half PPR and looked good doing it too.
Wasn't both of those touchdowns just blown coverages?
The Niners they just were hitting into each other. The defensive players, boom, he just got open on a play. But I don't know if that just has to do with the way that they were crossing the routes and that they were trying to get the defense to run into each other.
Yeah.
Or if it was just, I mean, for them to do it multiple times in a game is kind of ridiculous, on the defense. So they still won the game, the Niners, but CeeDee Lamb had himself a game.
I will say, bro, he had a whopping 46% target share.
That's crazy.
So CeeDee Lamb owners were, not happy the first half of the season so far. But everybody saw the same pattern of last year after the bye is when CeeDee popped off. So it looks to be happening again so far in this one game sample post bye that we have. But and that's kind of something I've been putting my chips on. I do think CeeDee Lamb and Dak will have a second half resurgence. I don't know if you guys believe that or not, or do you think it's just some like false analysis?
I mean, there's obviously nothing wrong with CeeDee Lamb. It's just Dak. But does Dak have it? He should. I mean, the schedule doesn't look too difficult, like defensively.
I like the schedule upcoming, to be honest. I think they do bounce back. I think these next few games give them some confidence. I mean, Atlanta, Philly, Houston, Washington, 2 divisional matchups, and then the Giants also divisional matchups. So he's got a good number of divisional matchups the next coming weeks. So the bye week's out the way, and he needs to prove himself, right? They just paid him, so he needs to prove that he's worth it. Ladd McConkey, 26.1 fantasy points. Whenever you see a quarterback have a good week, usually the receivers are the ones that end up
Ladd McConkey. Hell yeah.
Yeah, 26.1 fantasy points. He had 6 receptions, 111 yards, 2 touchdowns. Good rookie performance, man.
I kind of needed that performance last week, bro. Yeah, brother, I get it, brother. I get it.
Anyways, strangely enough, that game he had a 20% target share, which was his second lowest share of the year. But he did capitalize on it with 2 tuds, right?
Yeah.
So he definitely sees all the the Chargers don't throw a lot though, to be honest. They definitely are more of a rushing team. But the one who does see the targets there in the air is Ladd.
Yep, 100%.
Cedric Tillman, 25.4 fantasy points. Jameis Winston.
Did not see that come in, brother.
Is Cedric Tillman a must start rest of the season for you guys?
I don't know about must start. He didn't have the greatest target share in that offense, but he did catch the 2 touchdowns.
Really?
So
let me. These are the numbers I have pulled up. It's 25% and 22% over the last 2 games with no Amari Cooper, which is very, very decent for a receiver.
Yeah, and you had Jameis Winston come in the game before.
Exactly, right. So these variables make me think like, he might be the real deal.
I don't know if he's an auto start. Excuse me. I think you can flex him weekly. If you picked him up off the waivers, you're feeling pretty good right now.
Yeah, I feel like you can flex him, but after his bye week, he does have Pittsburgh, Denver, then Pittsburgh, then Kansas City. So those are really, really good defenses.
That is, bro.
So I don't know if he's an auto start, but he's just got to prove it.
He gets the Chargers next week, so that'll kind of be a test to see what he can do against a good defense. Josh Downs, 20.2 fantasy points. Excuse me. Marvin Harrison Jr., 20.1. Calvin Austin, 18.1. I want to talk about Josh Downs just for a sec, that even with Anthony Richardson throwing the ball, he still performed very well. And Anthony Richardson is not.
Yeah, and I believe that's the only game he's done that with Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, you're right.
So that's something that's kind of, when we see this new type of result coming in, it's like, well, is that really here to stay, or is that just like, some one-off type of thing?
Right.
Yeah, I feel like he could be for the next week because he plays Minnesota, so he could possibly do something similar again.
Right.
But for the rest of the season or like down the line, I would maybe start some other players.
I think in a good matchup, it might be a hit or miss for him. So he's like more risky play.
But he's for me, like before this week at least. Sorry, before this week at least was Josh Downs with Joe Flacco. Yeah, start him.
100%.
Yeah, 100%. Josh Downs with A-Rich. Nah, bro, bench. Right. So now maybe this builds a little bit of confidence to start Josh Downs, but
right.
Still a little bit shaky. I'm not sure if I really, really believe and trust it, but that's just me.
Same.
Very risky to me, yeah.
I mentioned Marvin Harrison. Solid performance this week. It's what Marvin owners been waiting for.
Mm-hmm.
He finally caught more than half his targets. So that's, he definitely produced more on the targets he got.
Yeah.
That's been an issue all season, really. His target share season average is 21%, so it's like it's good. It's at a good number.
Right.
If he could just keep up with catching them, then he should be fine.
Yeah.
It's Chicago and then the Jets the next 2 weeks, so that'll be, and then he goes into a bye. So
personally, like I would try to go get Marvin Harrison. Hopefully, I know it's not the best time to buy because he's probably at one of his highest because he dropped 20 points. But you got Chicago, you got the Jets. He might not do the best, but he could always pop off. But after his bye week, dude, he has a solid schedule, and that team right now is currently 4-4. So they're still trying to make that playoff push, and I love having players that need to make that playoff push. So
yep.
I would kind of go like I'd be on the radar for Marvin Harrison.
Yeah. Calvin Austin, he did return a touchdown Monday night in that game. So that was, I mean, you can say, a bit of inflated numbers. He goes to a bye. I don't know if he's worth even a pickup on waivers. Yeah, just a random performance.
Yeah.
On to the running backs. James Cook at the top, 26.8 fantasy points. BBTV doesn't want whatever he just got offered. Did his thing. I think he had 3 touchdowns that game.
He had 2 touchdowns that game.
2.
It was 2. Okay. Bunch of yards on the ground.
But a field day.
Yeah. James Cook is, I think a week or so back, we had all this talk of, Ray Davis coming in. Spooky. But James Cook,
that was me with the spooky.
But like weeks 5 through 8, he's seen 77% running back rush share. So
yeah,
pretty solidified, bro. I think he's still like in the offense. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I'm the only reason I said anything about mentioning the other running backs is that they were throwing the other running backs in near the goal line and they were getting touchdowns, like kind of sharking them from him. So it's like, that's just, to me, I don't want a running back where other like running backs in the backfield could just take the touchdown. It's annoying. So that's the only reason why I thought like, hey, that might be of concern to James Cook owners. But he reminded everyone what he can do, and he did it again.
Yeah.
Josh Jacobs, 25 fantasy points. Jordan Love got injured that game, and then Malik Willis came in. So that was an interesting game. But against Jacksonville, they have not been a good defense. People have been able to run on them. 2 touchdowns, 127 yards, 25 rush attempts, which is a ton.
Yeah. Is Jordan Love's injury, is it serious?
It's a groin, so it could be. It's not major.
Okay.
It's not IR.
They go into the bye, no?
It's a groin.
They go into their bye next
week.
I think
no. They have Detroit, then the bye.
That's what it is. Okay.
My
mistake.
Never mind. Just because I was going to say, if Jordan Love's injury was very serious, sell Jacobs. But if he should be, like if he doesn't play next week, obviously then a bye, and then should be back week 11, and then just keep Jacobs.
I think a groin injury, he should be back after the bye at the most.
Yeah,
they might play him this week. I don't know what their record is, if they need to win or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, Devon Achane, Tua's back, 23.7 fantasy points for Achane. The owners that held on to him and held strong, happy. The ones that traded for him, also very happy.
Mm-hmm.
With Tua back, he just looks so much better.
Yeah. Also saw 21% target share, so getting a lot of passing work. It's what you love from the RBs.
Yeah, 8 targets is a lot.
Yeah. Ramondre Stevenson continues to randomly pop up and annoy us whenever we call him a dud and like don't start him. He comes back and does something.
Brother, he's the most inconsistent player right now in fantasy. Goes crazy one week, trash.
I'm not gonna lie.
Trash, then crazy.
He's definitely so I had some interesting numbers on this, right? Because majority of the season, right, in the last 4 games, below 60% snap share, right? And it's something we mentioned, and obviously you look at that trend and it's like, well, homie's barely on the field. How much can you do if he's barely on the field?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But also, I think it's like a lot of coaching, right? It's not always the player; it's a lot of coaching, right? So this week he had a running back rush share 80%, and his snap share was 82%. Right? So something with the coaching is just kind of switching around and up and down, and like, you know what I mean? It's something that we can't really expect or know.
Maybe he stopped fumbling, so they just, started letting him have more of the ball. Because he was on a fumbling streak.
I'm not sure like what led this to happen in the background, but could we see Rhamondre get the same usage in week 8 in the upcoming weeks? If so, then solidified RB2 possibly, right?
Yeah.
If he's back down to 60% snap share, I don't really trust him, right? But
but
like BB was saying, it's kind of hard to read with this random wild card of a player.
Exactly.
Like having a good week, then a terrible week, then another terrible week, then a good week. It's just hard to predict, but yeah.
Personally, this is a candidate that I would sell. Sell that man.
Like that?
You literally, if he has another good week next week too, sell him. Go get someone decent. You know what I'm saying? Someone that's somewhat consistent.
Yeah, consistency is what you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tyrone Tracy, 22 fantasy points on Monday night. He's probably the best player on that offense besides Malik Neighbors for the Giants. Like he's definitely taken over the backfield. He did get injured in the game, is headed into the ground. So I think I don't know if do you know if they just automatically put him in concussion protocol if he has any sort of head trauma? Or is it like, do they decide?
No, I'm pretty sure if he goes in just to the blue medical tent, and I think there's 7 like small quick tests that if he doesn't pass all 7, then I think they just rule him out or something, or like 5 or 7 or something.
Well, whatever it was, he went into the locker room. He did go into the locker room earlier in the game with some injury, and then he did also leave the field and go he went off the field into the blue medical tent in the game, and then at the end, after his head injury, he went into the locker room. So if he does go into concussion protocol, it's unlikely he plays next week, which sucks because he's been really, really good for that team, and they need someone to move the ball on the ground because Daniel Jones is terrible. But let's not dwell too long on Tyrone Tracy. If he plays again, I think you play him. He's been really good this season.
Yeah.
Joe Mixon, 21.4 fantasy points. Kyren Williams, 20.1 fantasy points. Both who have been really good.
Bro, Mixon is not slowing down.
Mixon, okay, so this is something we talked about before, right?
We did.
Multiple times. If you missed it in the preview, right, we said, look, there's no way he keeps up this performance, but he did play the Colts, so we're like, he could keep it up, and he did. So out of these 4 healthy games, all 4 20-point performances.
Yeah.
Plays the Jets next week. The Jets did just get run on, so I'm not even sure if I really trust the Jets defense right now.
That team just does not look good, the Jets.
Yeah.
They're all over the place.
That's kind of a deeper hole than we need to even get into.
Fired the coach. Downward spiral.
Bro, does Mixon slow down? And if he does, when does it come?
Probably Detroit, week 10.
Because to me, like it has to come like next week, bro. He's like the most efficient fantasy player.
I don't think so, bro. I think he runs all over the Jets, bro. I think he runs all over the Jets.
The Jets probably, but the following week against Detroit, maybe not so much. We'll see, because he's had pretty good matchups for a running back. And then the weeks that he missed, Minnesota, he missed some good matchups against Jacksonville, Buffalo. Either way, Kyren Williams has been good every game this season that he's played. You keep in your lineup. He's got some very nice matchups in the next few weeks. Seattle, Miami, New England, all of which have been run all over.
Yeah. Rams have a beautiful rushing schedule upcoming. I will also say the Rams entered week 8 with about 8% target share for the RBs. But against Minnesota Thursday night, they had a target share of 23% for the RBs. So
nice.
That's, I don't know. I don't even know why that happened.
I feel like the reason why is because they like the receivers that they got back with Puka and Kupp. They're so much more focused on that Kyren could just slip out real quick, boom, dump off real quick. So
yeah,
that helps Kyren out a lot.
Oh man, it helps him out even more as if he wasn't already doing pretty solid. So
yeah,
if you have Kyren on your team, you keep him. If you don't have him, it's hard to trade for him. He's just been really, really good all year. So it's really hard for someone to want to give him up. And you might have to give up too much. On to the tight ends. Cade Otton at the top, 24.6 fantasy points. No Mike Evans, no Godwin. he's the primary benefactor.
He saw a large chunk, 22% target share versus Falcons. So really good usage out of him.
Yeah, and you'll probably continue to see that with Cade Otton this year.
Yeah.
He
National Tight End Day, so we have a bunch of tight ends on the list.
Oh, yeah.
National Tight Ends Day. Everyone went and they get Kansas City next week, who have been the number one matchup for tight ends. So Cade Otton, keep him in your lineup.
Cade Otton's the rest of the season start, by the way. If you have Cade Otton, start him every single week.
If you have Cade Otton, keep him. If you have another tight end that you drafted, like Sam Laporta, go trade him away. Keep Cade Otton.
Yeah.
Kyle Pitts, 23.1 fantasy points. Also had himself a game. There's a lot of tight ends here. Kyle Pitts, George Kittle, 21.8. Travis Kelce, 20. Trey McBride, 16.9. All of which you kind of, besides Cade Otton, when people drafted these players, all these tight ends to be top tight ends, like Kyle Pitts, is this his bounce back year? It's looking like his breakout
This
season.
is his bounce back year. And I remember we were a little annoyed in the first half of the season, And now the second half, I was.
You said sit him?
Sit him every week, bruh. But, he proved me wrong, So Kyle Pitts, he's bounced back, dude.
Do you sell high on Pitts? Or do you hold on to him and just keep playing him?
Hold on to him, keep playing.
Okay. They get Dallas and then the Saints and then Denver. The bye. So
Kelce had 34% target share versus Vegas, so
very nice.
Incredible share right there. Trey McBride, we've talked about it week to week. He's yet to finish with a share below 25%. Week 8, 33%.
Yeah, on National Tight Ends Day. Yep. He had a nice catch for, I think, 37 yards. Catch and run.
He's a dog, bro. He's a dog.
He's a beast, bro. But he sometimes will get up and start limping, and I'm like, oh, hey, slow down, brother. You don't do all that. I need you healthy on my team. Adam Troutman from the Broncos. Just look, it was the Carolina Panthers they played against. We're just naming people. 16.5 fantasy points is noteworthy. Tucker Kraft 15.3, Njoku 14.6, with Jameis Winston at quarterback. We said Njoku would benefit from it. I thought he would do even better, but 14.6 is solid, very solid for a tight end.
Oh, very. So,
he's in the studs list. Sam Laporta didn't necessarily make the list, but he had 13.8 fantasy points.
The Lions game, to quickly go over it, was so interesting. Like Goff had double check 84 passing yards or something.
Yeah, that was a weird
one.
Threw
for 3 TDs. Okay. Wild game. Just a wild, weird game. Lions spanked.
Montgomery threw a touchdown to someone. Did
Montgomery threw a touchdown? Yeah.
Or Sam Laporta? I don't know.
I have no idea.
I don't remember.
But this was 6 targets, the most targets Sam Laporta's had in a game this season. In a game they completely dominated. So
6 catches. Yep.
And 6 targets. But it was the most targets he had, I think.
And last week, brother, I called out Sam Laporta bounce back game, man. And that's exactly what happened. 13.8. I know it was tight ends day.
We'll give you that. It was a very wonky-ish type of game, but yeah.
Can I get your guys' opinion? Do you sell Laporta now with a decent game? 2 decent games in 3 weeks. Do you sell him, or do you just hold on and keep playing him and just hope he keeps it up?
Depending on it just depends on what you can get out of him. That's pretty much it.
If you have Cade Otton, right? Let's say you picked him up off waivers.
100% play Cade Otton over Laporta. No, sell Laporta.
That's what I'm saying.
Like in that scenario, sure.
If you have Kyle Pitts and you got him earlier when he was on them down weeks, if you got, maybe even I don't know about if you have Njoku or something like that, and you have Sam Laporta, they've been more productive than Sam Laporta for the most part. Especially in the last few weeks.
Oh, by the way, Sam Laporta, a TD was called back on Sam Laporta's. He had a TD. They called for an offensive lineman holding, so he should have had more points. By the way.
Okay. Maybe you keep him. Keep playing him. They keep getting the ball.
Yeah.
That's it for the tight ends. That's it for the studs. On to the duds. We'll try and speed through this. I know this episode's been pretty long. We had a lot of studs this week. Duds. Good amount of duds. Start with QBs. I put Jordan Love in there just because people played him, and he probably lost you your week, but he did get injured. That's why he only had 5.74 fantasy points. I want to make that clear. He did get injured that game. Geno Smith, 8.08 fantasy points. Boof. I think BBTB called that out last week and said,
"Don't play
Geno Smith."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, we kind of knew it was a tough Bills matchup, right?
No DK.
And this was no DK. This was the first time this season that he failed to throw a TD passing Geno Smith.
Wow. Hey man, he missed DK. Caleb Williams, 9.34 fantasy points. Dud.
Bro, he needs to get more accurate, man.
He was not looking great.
Yeah, I
mean, and MFB, you mentioned the Washington defense kind of being like a trap team, like that they have been a better half defense against.
They've definitely improved. Yeah, they improved a lot.
And I think that's kind of a product of the offense being so good that the defense is like, oh man, we got to step up, bro. Like we can't suck and our offense be so good. Like, they're rallying behind Jaden Daniels. I think it's a product of the offense doing so well that they're not on the field as much. Imagine the QB sucks. For example, the Giants, the defense is always on the field because Daniel Jones just is not. So then that defense like has to keep getting attacked on and they get scored on. And then, the defense do so well. So anyways, Caleb Williams, poor performance. Hopefully he bounces back. Anthony Richardson, 11.5 fantasy points. He's been a bust.
Nothing new. Anthony Rich.
Yeah, seriously, nothing new.
I mean, yeah, bro. I mean, like, bro, he's had more than 10 completions in one game this year.
Mm-hmm. Which game is that?
This game.
Oh, wow, there you go.
That's crazy. Dude,
this game against the Texans.
There is probably quarterbacks on your waivers right now that you could play Anthony Richardson. Go get Bo Nix. Go get Herbert. Go get, you know what I'm saying? Like
Herbert? Yeah.
Stafford. I'd play Stafford over him for the rest of the season.
Minnesota next week.
Mm-hmm.
Then they have the Buffalo and the Jets. They have Buffalo and the Jets. I would look to, if he plays well against Minnesota, sell him. If you can, if anyone's willing to take him. But he's not been a good quarterback this year and definitely a bust. CJ Stroud, 12.4 fantasy points. He misses Nico Collins, man. He's been in the last 4 weeks. Let me see. He's probably averaged somewhere around like 12 fantasy points.
He's been back to back on our dud list.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
And he was my QB fade.
I'm going to say that. I'm going to be right.
I know for sure, like, the offense does miss Nico Collins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But, like, you still
Stephon Diggs got injured that game.
He got injured, yeah. That's true. You still have Diggs. You still have Tank Dell. That's still some fine weapons to work with, bro.
With Mixon, too. You know what I'm saying?
That's the thing is, Mixon's taking a lot of the work and he's just running. So he doesn't get points for that. You know what I mean?
At the same time, it's like if Mixon is able to open up the run game, then the pass game should somehow be opened up because the defense is trying to get into the defense is focused on the run game, that the passing defense should somehow open up with the players they have. You know what I'm saying? But CJ Stroud ain't that sick.
I mean, look. Here's sorry. Let me rewind a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Texans are doing great. They're winning games. Stroud is playing solid football-wise, right? There's a reason I had him as a fade in fantasy football. Mixon's taking a load of work.
Mm-hmm.
Stroud doesn't rush the ball. And like, there's some games he flings it like crazy for sure. Other games, not so much. So he just does like, a very solid job at quarterbacking. But does that really help you in fantasy? No, bro. You want the Jameis Winston unwavering faith. Toss that shit up.
Just fling it.
Yeah,
bro.
You're right.
Hope for the best.
Want, right? So owners are going to be, kind of
looking elsewhere for a player, honestly, for a quarterback. Joe Burrow, 12.86 fantasy points. The Eagles have stepped up. Their defense has stepped up. I mean, they were missing T. Higgins that game. But still, Joe Burrow, who's been very solid the last few weeks, just, couldn't do anything against Philadelphia.
Yeah, if I'm a Joe Burrow owner, I'm not tripping. It was just a bad game for him. He will definitely bounce back.
Plays Vegas and then Baltimore, so decent matchups. Yeah. I threw in Dak Prescott in here because he had, I think, 1 fantasy point at the half or something like that. Like he was
kind of crazy.
At halftime, you were probably stressed if you had your quarterback. You're probably kicking in.
For sure, stressed.
Yes, sir.
But we throwing hella picks, bro. That first pick he threw
Yeah.
You can't tell me that wasn't like some Vegas prop
bet
inside job, bro. It made 0 sense to throw it,
but it doesn't.
to your shortest receiver in double coverage. No explanation I could think of.
He doesn't need money. He just got paid. So
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm saying like for Vegas it's themselves.
Oh, they called him and said, "Look, we have
not like him betting. No,
you have to make sure you throw a pick."
I don't know, but it was just strange.
We talked about Dak. I think he's going to bounce back. As the season. I mean,
he literally has to bounce back. He has to.
I mean, let's hope so. He does get Brandon Cooks in a few weeks. I think Brandon Cooks on IR. I don't know if that's going to help him or not. I mean, I don't know. His only real weapon is CD. So how much? What was the target share again? Like 40?
46%.
46%.
Yeah, bro. Like he needs someone else to throw the ball to.
Yeah.
Anyways, hopefully.
Man, you a few CD owner, you good. Keep running.
Hey, Loki should have been the number 1 pick over McCaffrey.
Yeah, CD. Well,
but that's hindsight, brother. Anyways,
if he keeps giving it to him, and he starts producing more. On to wide receiver duds. At the top, Amari Cooper was 0.8 fantasy points. Terrible. You do not want that for a player that just got traded onto a team. I mean, I guess they didn't really need to use him, but Keon Coleman got the touchdown. He looked good. So,
but the play. Sorry, 1 second.
Oh yeah, sorry. Technical difficulties for BBTV. His mom's in.
Keon Coleman does look. He's starting to really show out. Also, Khalil Shakir did pretty good. So I don't know. Amari Cooper just wasn't really being used,
allowing them to spread the ball a little bit, And he only had 3 targets, 2 receptions, and 1 receiving yard. So Amari Cooper owners, should they be worried? Should they be just ignore it?
I wouldn't be too worried, bro. You're like a good talent on a top offense. You're gonna have some great weeks.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna say it's gonna be every week, but you'll have some great weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm really high on Amari Cooper. I'm one of the owners. I was a little frustrated because Amari Cooper is just taking away like some of the coverages, so the other guys are just getting open, like Shakir and Keon Coleman. And so I don't know, man. I was a little frustrated, but I don't think that will. I feel like Cooper just should be solid.
Okay. Tyler Lockett, 1.4 fantasy points. Couldn't capitalize on no DK there. They need DK to take attention away from him for him to produce. So that's
he's old, bro. He's like a veteran receiver.
Yeah.
How is he, like 34 now or 33 or
something?
He got to be something like
that. MLB punching the stats. Click.
He's 32.
32. Okay. I mean, but still, yeah. On the older side. Michael Pittman, 2.1 fantasy points. Josh Downs is just the better receiver in that offense, honestly.
I feel like he's an auto bench every week just because of how Anthony Richardson's playing. Pittman dealing with that back injury.
Listen, I have no Pittman shares this year, thankfully. But since week 3, he's an auto bench for me, bro.
Yeah.
It didn't take me this long to figure that out.
When Joe Flacco was quarterback, he was serviceable.
He was cool, but it was really Downs is like the top guy.
Yeah. But I'm saying now though, like I feel like he's 100%. Like,
I mean, they play Minnesota next week. Is he considered
bench him?
Considerable. All right.
Would not trust him.
I wouldn't trust it, but if you don't have an option, maybe you can flex him. D-Hop went to the Chiefs, didn't do anything there. 3.9 fantasy points. He just was taking all the coverage away from Kelsey, so Kelsey could score and do things in the offense. DJ Moore, one of BTB's takes last week, if you listen to the episode.
Mm-hmm.
DJ Moore, 4.4 fantasy points. The Bears didn't look good. Next to him is Keenan Allen with 4.9 fantasy points. Both of them didn't produce.
Yeah, very disappointing for Bears passing.
Yep, and MLB talked about the Washington Commanders defense being better, and so we saw that.
But I don't really think it was the Commanders defense being really that good. I feel like just Caleb Williams just was horrible that game.
No, I mean if he played against Carolina, I bet he would look totally better.
Oh yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? So like I'm not saying that the Washington Commanders are an elite defense. I'm just saying they're better than
Carolina.
What's seen on paper. At first, beginning of the season, it was like, start your receivers against Washington.
The first 3-4 weeks.
Yeah, and then it just flipped. As they got better.
Caleb only had 10 completions, bro. Like,
oh yeah, that's
you're not going to have great receiving
numbers.
output with 10 completions total.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, terrible. Drake London at the bottom of this list, 5.4 fantasy points. You expected a lot more of Drake London. I think we called him doing better than that. So sorry if you have Drake London.
I think I'm not too surprised. It's the first time since week 1 he scored less than 12 full PPR points, right?
Okay.
So obviously you have to come down at some point a little bit. And he still hit 21% target share. And he hasn't been below that since week 1. So I wouldn't be too worried.
Yeah, me neither.
They get Dallas next week, who are trying to bounce back after that loss to San Francisco, and they're coming off a win. So they're going to try and keep that win streak up. It could be a shootout. So look for him to bounce back. On to the running back duds. At the very top, I just want to put Zamir White in there because I think he's droppable at this point, or like auto.
But he should have never been played.
Didn't we say to cut him like 2 weeks ago?
Pretty sure, but I just we need to re-emphasize that he had negative 0.1 fantasy points. He had two attempts. He's 100% droppable.
Did none of us have him as an RB fade? Somebody had him as an RB fade.
I think it was you.
Was it? I'm being so serious. I'm not trying to like tout myself right now. I'm being so serious. I remember one of us had a Zamir White as a fade in RB.
I'm pretty sure it was you, brother.
It might have been me.
You know what? Sure. If it's not maybe, it's probably me. You know what I'm saying? So I really
try. Oh yeah.
You were high.
No, but like honestly, because I was gonna say, bro, like it's like droppable. Yeah,
I was high on Zamir White.
He was never draftable for me, to be honest.
He was your fade. That's what I'm saying. He was your fade. Yeah. Or I think he was your bonus fade, not your RB fade.
Maybe, but I'm like not surprised whatsoever by this.
Yeah,
Madison is the bell cow in Vegas.
100%. And he's looked pretty good, honestly. He did decent against Kansas City, which has been a top defense against running backs. So, I mean, he moved the ball a little bit. Jordan Mason got injured in this game, so I'm going to start with that. But he had 1.8 fantasy points before he got injured. He's been running like crazy. They ran him into the ground. I mean, that's just what happens when you're running like that much. And they had Garendo, and I don't know why they weren't splitting carries. Garendo looked good when he came in. He did something.
Yeah, he had some really good runs.
Yeah, so it's like, why would you not split them? But that's just not how Kyle Shanahan runs his running backs. He just likes to have one and then just one and done, just all the work on one running back.
No.
So they go into the bye week, and McCaffrey might be back after that. So Mason might just be gone at this point. Singletary is in here with 3.3 fantasy points. Tyrone Tracy owns that backfield.
Is Singletary just a handcuff now?
Yes, especially with Tyrone Tracy getting injured, he's now become the handcuff. It's kind of switched.
But as crazy as this might sound, bro, if Tyrone Tracy's out next week, I would still not even start Singletary at the flex.
Hot take from BBTB. Really? We have to bookmark this right here.
Bookmark it, sure. If Tyrone Tracy's out next week, I don't see Singletary. Whatever his projection is next week that you see, he's getting less. So I don't know. Like obviously 0.1, but what I'm trying to say is Devin Singletary is not it. I don't see that man being solid.
Why'd you say that? I feel like if Tyrone's out, you could probably plug in Devin Singletary.
No, but I'm not a fan of Daniel Jones, man. I'm a Daniel Jones hater. It's because of Daniel Jones.
Can go like this and be like, here you go.
I think you and every other, New York Giants fans also.
Brother, I mean, when Devin Singletary was technically the RB1, he wasn't doing nothing besides 1 or 2 games. I had Singletary. I sold him high.
He did decent for a few games. Minnesota got stuffed. Washington and Cleveland
cool for some games. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like he's serviceable as an RB, getting all the carries.
Now Tyrone Tracy looks better, and they're giving it to him more.
I think Tyrone Tracy is solidified.
Show is the one there. Yeah,
solidified.
100%. And this game kind of was the turning point.
Proved it.
Yeah.
Last game might have been the turning point, but this game was
funny because right now I'm trying to think of times where like the season would start, you have an RB and you have a handcuff, and then they just switch roles like completely. Like not even 50-50, just
yes. Last game was 50-50. Last game it was 6 carries to 5 against the Philadelphia Eagles. I think with Tyrone Tracy with 6 and Singletary with 5. And this game it was just like complete like flip.
Yeah.
Nick Chubb 5.2 fantasy points against Baltimore. kind of makes sense. They play Baltimore, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Baltimore makes sense. BBTB, you sound like you had something to say.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, bro, because like Jameis Winston, he did his thing. Like, I don't know how Nick Chubb did not like find the end zone or like
I think he's
do
still
better.
coming back from injury. Like, did he get, what was his snap share? Let me see if I can find.
I don't know. I think he had either 13 or 16 attempts on the
I mean, that's pretty solid.
He had 16 carries.
Yeah.
Oh,
so what I'm saying is like, I don't know how he did find the end zone.
61% snap share, so that's pretty good. 16.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he's still not fully healthy. I'm sure.
Yeah.
He has a tough matchup next week against Chargers, but
yeah,
I wouldn't be too worried. Here's some stats from like week to week, right? Since he played 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Running back rush share rose from 69% to 76%.
Mm-hmm.
Target share dropped by 1.5%, but route participation rose from 19% to 44%.
Route participation means like he's in on passing plays?
I believe like it's like he ran a route on those plays.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. They played Chargers next week, which is a tough matchup. Do you wait for him to play that matchup, hope he doesn't do well, and then buy low?
Yeah. I believe it because he's getting the touches, getting the carries. Winston's on fire.
Yeah, and they go into a bye, so you could buy him in the bye week. Someone might need, if you're a team that can take an L, like, you can have a player on bye that week. They play the Saints, then Pittsburgh, then Denver, then Pittsburgh, then Kansas City. So not very good matchups leading into the into the playoffs, fantasy playoffs. But I think it's Cincinnati and Miami. So I don't know. He may be a buy low candidate.
Mm-hmm.
Kenneth Walker, I put him in here, 6.5 fantasy points. Just the ball wasn't moving.
Yeah, it's just a bad week. That's it.
Yeah, and I think Shrubney swooped a touchdown from him. Yeah, he had like 2 attempts for 3 yards or something. He got a touchdown.
Oh,
so Shrubney swooped Teddy off him. Don't worry about Kenneth Walker; he'll be all right.
Mm-hmm.
Onto the tight end duds. And not that many on National Tight Ends Day, which was Sunday, but Freiermuth played Monday night, 2.9 fantasy points. Noah Fant, which was streamable last week, didn't do anything, 3.7.
Mm-hmm.
Cole Kmet, Caleb Williams only had 10 completions. Cole Kmet, 3.9 fantasy points. And then Jake Ferguson with Dak looking pedestrian, 5.3 fantasy points for Jake Ferguson.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Freiermuth, Fant, Kmet.
I mean, a lot of these guys are like streamable, yeah.
Fergie, I mean, if Dak bounces back, he should bounce back.
I think
too.
like Fergie will have a bounce back. Kmet will have maybe like, I don't know, 1 or 2 boom games left.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You want to try to predict those. That's pretty much my take on these.
I think they're fill-ins for the next couple of weeks when there's bye weeks. You can kind of plug these guys in, like Kmet and Fant and Freiermuth, but don't look to start them each week.
Yeah,
Freiermuth maybe with Russell Wilson there. I mean, they're going to the bye, but I don't know. He's not an auto start for me by any means.
Yeah,
and he's barely streamable. Anyways, that's it for tight end duds. There weren't surprisingly the least number of duds this week was tight ends, and I think it had to do with the whole National Tight Ends Day thing on Sunday. So we saw some good performances there.
I don't know if I saw a random stat, but it was like on National Tight Ends Day, like week 8. What was it? It was like they had like every tight end combined had like the tight ends combined for like 200 catches or something crazy like that.
Oh, I believe it. We had we had the most studs, I think, in the tight ends category. Well, we had a lot of studs in the tight ends category, and we had very few duds this week.
Yeah.
They were all the tight ends are pretty much serviceable this week.
Should be tight ends day every single freaking week, dude.
Honestly, man, that would be nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, if only. That'll do it for studs and duds. Did we miss anyone? BBTB, do you want to say anything? We're very close to 50 minutes. Do you want to just yap for a minute?
No, I'm chilling, brother.
I would like to yap about Jaden Daniels having a rib issue, played the game against the Bears, threw a Hail Mary walk-off.
Bro.
That was the nuttiest thing that I watched in a minute.
Bro,
and I personally had hella leagues where I was like, I have a lot of Jaden Daniels. and I was deciding on some leagues I sat him and some leagues I started him. But it was dope, bro. It was dope. If you started him, he did solid. I mean, obviously the last TD helped a lot, but it was just a fight to see, man.
Yeah, because that TD was like basically 10 fantasy points. Yeah, 60-yard throw with 4.
Yep,
dude. The defender like tipped it, and Noah Brown was there. He's like,
Noah Brown was
found his
there,
hands.
chilling.
Crazy,
crazy. That defender,
and then everybody stormed the field. That was a crazy game.
Yeah,
game, bro.
Man.
Wait, did the fans storm the field too?
I don't know. Probably, but like, I just want to say, like, bro, like you saw how like calm this homie was just moving like this.
Yeah, like gliding
for a cool 12 seconds, bro.
Yeah,
like this, and then back like this. Like wait, bro, no rush, nothing.
Yeah, and it happened, bro.
It's nuts. Yeah. Great performance by Jayden Daniels with the rib injury. He's been just great all season, and against a tough Chicago defense, he honestly should have. He almost snuck into the studs list.
Yeah,
with that performance, and honestly should have for that against a tough Chicago defense. That'll do it for this episode. Tune into the next episode to hear the Week 9 waivers. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.
Peace.